Hi, it's Lynn here. In this first of 3 short videos, I'm going to talk to you about the beliefs, stories and scripts that get in the way of effortless leadership and make us feel overwhelmed and make us feel less successful, focused or effective than we would like to be. At the end of this first video, I've got 2 practical tips to help you recognise your own beliefs, scripts and stories and where they come from, because that's the first step to actually doing something about them. These beliefs can keep us stuck, make us feel helpless or inadequate and cross with ourselves for not being good enough. And these beliefs lead to behaviour or action or non-action that's not always helpful. Let me just give you an example of what I mean by beliefs, stories or scripts, and particularly those that may not always be helpful to you. They often start with words like I must or I should. So for example, I often hear people saying I must be nice, I must please people, I must be liked, I must do it perfectly, or I should be more successful, or I'm not enough. I'm not senior enough, I'm not old enough, I'm not young enough, I'm not experienced enough, clever enough. You choose your own words here. Or I'm no good at. I'm no good at networking, I'm no good at presenting, I'm no good at influencing, and so it goes on. If you're nodding your head here, if any of those sound familiar, then you're not alone, take it from me. And sometimes, of course, these beliefs, stories and scripts can help us. They lead to behaviours or actions that help us be successful. Of course, being nice has great rewards, but it also has lots of downsides if it means that we avoid difficult conversations, performance management discussions, if we avoid giving honest feedback or speaking our truth or even challenging the status quo. The origin of most of these beliefs, stories and scripts and the behaviour that then follows is about survival, because that's what we're hardwired to do above everything else. So if we believe our survival is threatened, we'll fight, flight, freeze or appease, which doesn't always lead to successful outcomes for us or for anybody else. But when all our energy is used up simply on trying to survive, we're never ever going to do our very best work, we're never going to feel at our best or often even take the right course of action, certainly in the long term. Now, there's a heck of a lot I could say on this subject, but the premise of effortless leadership is that you take one step at a time. And you start with growing your awareness or self-knowledge about your own beliefs, scripts and stories, your patterns in effect. So here's the first step, and as I said right at the beginning, it's in 2 parts. Firstly, identify some of your own beliefs or scripts or stories that might be getting in the way of your own effortless leadership. Think about situations or with what people they show up in your life, because it won't be all the time. Secondly, identify where those beliefs, scripts and stories originate. For most of us, they start with our own family of origin or other caregivers around us and from our communities. So, for example, your mum may never have said explicitly that you must put yourself last, but you picked it up by watching her, by observing her and seeing how she behaved. Or your dad never said you must be perfect, but he was never really happy unless you got A stars in everything. Or your teacher said you must always respect your elders and not answer back, so you struggle now to stand up to those senior board members or anyone else in a position of authority. Or you were told never to wash your dirty linen in public, so you now found it really hard to show what you're really thinking or feeling or to be vulnerable, and that started to feel problematic for you. So thank you very much for listening to this first video, and do take a look at the other 2 which are coming next. Thank you for listening.